Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel. We are the Mile High Property Brothers. Today, another fun one. We are a little bit more on the west side, typically from where we've been at the past couple of weeks. Or I guess the past couple of weeks we've been central Denver.
Yeah.
Either way, getting right to it, we will be talking about the 7 things you need to know about Littleton, Colorado.
All right, let's check it out, guys. What's up, guys? I'm Schmidt. This is my partner, Will Grimes. And if it's your first time checking out the channel, guys, you're going to want to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way, every time we drop a new video on Tuesdays and Thursdays and every other Saturday, you get notified. And on these videos, we cover everything there is to know about moving to or living in the entire Denver, Colorado area. 100%.
And we are licensed brokers here in the state of Colorado, which means as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs. That number that's popping up, we are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if there's something we can do to help you, we would love to do that. But with that being said, let's talk about all 7 things we think you guys need to know about Littleton, and not necessarily in any type of order, and not necessarily saying that there's only 7 things you need to know, but based off of questions that you guys have and most of what we generally speak about as well. Like, we've got 7 for you. They're pretty solid. Let's talk about it.
All right, so diving into location real quick before we jump into the list of our 7, we are located just southwest of Denver. Go ahead, Will.
If this were a clock and Denver were in the middle of that clock, Littleton would be right around like that 7, 8 o'clock-ish.
Or southwest, whichever way you want to look at it. So, southwest of Denver, or 7 o'clock from Denver.
I feel like he's being so condescending. And it's right before the holidays. Like, just let me have my win. Clocks are my thing. Let me have it. Let me enjoy it. Happy holidays, right?
There we go. So
what a jerk.
I am. I know. 7 o'clock to Denver.
Yes.
Littleton is huge. I mean, it's a really big city, guys. And there are so many different parts of Littleton. And you'll see on some of the B-roll and drone footage, we have historic downtown Littleton. We have some of the surrounding developments. Sterling Ranch we've talked about before. That is way southwest Littleton.
So let's get right into it. One of the first things you need to know about Littleton are the new developments that are coming up here, and what you might want to know about them. So again, Sterling Ranch, that's one of them. Phenomenal. That might even be bigger than Highlands Ranch, believe it or not. I think that's like a 20,000 home build. There are a couple thousand homes into it. Biggest thing about Sterling Ranch is you have like 1 or 2 gigs of fiber optic wiring underground right into your home. It's a smart town, so like if a kid is lost or missing or whatever it may be, like your street lights in the neighborhood flash a certain color. They recycle rainwater. You've got that UC Health that's right there by the clubhouse. You've got a coffee shop, really cool, kind of its own little utopia. Schools are still Littleton schools, obviously. I don't think you quite have a school right in Sterling Ranch quite yet. Maybe one by now.
Yeah, I think maybe
so. You're still traveling a little bit as far as getting to your local schools that might be 10, 12 minutes away. Over time, you'll have your own schools right there in Sterling Ranch. But that's one of them. Super cool. And it's like one of 2 types of those little towns in America. It might still be one of 1, but a lot of really cool stuff about that.
And speaking of new builds, we are at at Cooley Lake right now. You can see right behind us.
Creek,
Wild Plum.
Wild Plum.
Yeah, so this is Wild Plum.
Plum.
It's a really interesting.
Never heard of a Wild Plum. You ever? Sorry, digressing. You ever wonder, like, when they get names for places, it sounds amazing or majestic, but then when like you think of it literally, you're like, Wild Plum, like just like a plum, just going off the rails,
probably
right?
Use like random name generators.
I just feel like
it's kind of silly.
I'm imagining a plum riding a horse, shooting guns, like digressing.
So we are at Wild Plum, and what's interesting about this development, because Littleton, guys, is very developed for the most part. That's why Sterling Ranch is on the far outskirts. But here we're kind of central Littleton. We're only 10 minutes from historic downtown Littleton. But what happened was like Lennar, their builder out here, they purchased handful of these lots. There's 100 lots to be specific. They're about 90% full right now, but they just put this brand new development on the lake right in the middle of established Littleton.
Really cool how builders do that as well, and like just to keep up with like the pace and not allowing too much influx. They're only releasing 2 lots per month on this specific development here, but really cool. A lot of fun aspects to that. Getting into like the next point you guys definitely want to know, so like I guess we'll number it. Number 2 is going to be your school district, right? So Littleton School District is phenomenal. It's an A+ rating overall, and it's in the top 20 nationally for safety and security. So super cool. So we're fathers. We're big on education. We're also clearly big on safety of your educational environment. So when you've got something like that they pride themselves on, and they're making an effort to be that, and they're rated that high, that's cool. And it's fun that like you can go to work and be a parent and go do what you have to do to provide, yet still know that like, hey, there's effort going into that school district as far as safety.
Yeah, there's always a lot of talk around Cherry Creek School District and Douglas County School District. Littleton is one that is A-rated all around.
It is, and it's not to disrespect Douglas County schools, Cherry Creek School District. They could also be in the top 20 or top 10 or top 100 for safety and things like that. This is something that was really cool that popped up online when we were looking for it.
Okay, now number 3, let's talk average home prices and appreciation. So average home price out here is about $450,000, and last year they saw 11% appreciation out here, and with Colorado seeing 16% overall as a whole, I think that this one was at 11% because here's the thing about Littleton. Because it is so established, there's not a whole lot of people, there's not a lot of turnover in Littleton. When people get here, they don't want to sell their house that often.
Correct, and just adding to that, right, like when we talk about like fix and flips, I'm sure a lot of you guys watch TV shows and you see Chip and Joanna, and you guys know that there's professionals that are out there. There's also some non-professionals out there. That's a different video, but there's professionals out there investing in homes, buying them, scraping them, or completely remodeling them and then reselling them. You don't see quite as much of that here in Littleton. When it goes into like people just wanting to be here for the long haul, their kids have gone to college or whatever it may be, but they decide to still stay in Littleton because of how pleasurable it is to live here. There's just not that many homes that are available to do any flipping with, right? Like, and a lot of homes are taken care of, so when they sell them, like they just traditionally sell them on the market, there's not any homes that have just been overly damaged that kind of turn into that investment property that allow for something like that opportunity of a flip, right? So you're just not seeing as much of that. And honestly, where some of the appreciation comes from in neighborhoods that will skyrocket it to 16 or 24% increases, when you have a ton of flips taking a home that has been completely trashed and that needs to get scraped or that needs to be completely remodeled, you have significant gain, which brings in a completely different scale of buyer into that neighborhood, which now starts that trend and that demand of refurbishing that area. So it's just a different pattern, and obviously 11% is not bad at all, right? So
it's a good investment.
But there's a reason why it's like, man, Colorado is so hot, we're talking about 11% being modest. That's an interesting approach, right? Like, it's interesting to even digest that concept. But the bottom line is there's nothing bad. If it's like, oh, it's 11, that's below the state average. It's not necessarily a negative thing. There's just patterns of behavior out here and why things tend to be the way they are. Either way, it definitely holds its value. If you guys want to be out here, if you got kids to raise, whatever it is, you're definitely not going to have a bad time here.
Okay, now point number 4, going back to location a little bit, you are much closer to the mountains than you are in a lot of the rest of the state.
Right, and that can be a great thing, right? Because if you want to commute to the mountains and hit C470 and go out there and have a great time, hey, please do. But you are also closer to the mountains, which means sometimes you can tend to get more wind or more snow out here, depending on the time of year. Obviously, winter being one of those times, right? So something to consider. Doesn't necessarily mean you have a better view of the mountain as well, because some of your elevation goes down before you actually get into the foothills and mountains. So depending on where you're at, you might be able to see the mountains better from a southeast aurora that has a slightly higher elevation that overlooks a lot of Colorado and can see it directly versus some parts of Littleton. So don't think that because you're closer, you can necessarily see more, depending on your elevation of your neighborhood, specifically to where you're buying.
Yeah, and depending on how often you legitimately are planning on going to the mountains or working in the mountains or just going out there for some mountain biking or recreation, for some people it's worth the 20 extra minutes that it might take to go from a Southeast Aurora. Other people, they're like, no, I want to be as close to the mountains as possible. I mountain bike all the time. I like doing real trail hiking all the time.
Yep.
Then yeah, this might be a great option for you because you are a decent amount closer.
Correct, and consistent with a lot of these other cities that we show you guys. The trails, the sidewalks, the landscape. It's pretty consistent across Colorado that you have a lot of that in every suburban area. So that is one of those consistents that even if you don't want to go into the mountains that day, there's still plenty to do around here in Littleton. And speaking of things to do, we're going to get to our next point, which is old downtown Littleton, which is super cool. You've got tavern there. You've got
so many
cool little you've got some restaurants. You've got
the
pubs.
Melting Pot is there.
Yeah, but you've also got that one that's also downtown.
View House.
View House.
Yeah.
Sorry, View House. I should know you by now. But you've got tavern. You've got View House. Those are both like some newer, modern beer and food type places. Really cool atmospherics. But you've got some old just beer spots down here. Really cool feel. It's not overgrown. They kept it small, so it's very reminiscent size wise of like an Old Town Parker. Definitely different vibe as far as here in Littleton than in Parker.
And a lot more. Yeah, a lot more. You got Breckenridge Brewery out here. Littleton is just huge on breweries and beers in general. But then going in the...
No, you don't have to cuff your jeans
no, you
and
don't
wear
have to cuff
Doc
your jeans.
Martens.
Nope.
You know, it's got that woody top note that I always look for.
But going downtown, guys, you're going to see...
But you do have to slick your hair back, okay?
That's right.
Take notes.
Going downtown, you're going to see a lot of antique stores. You're going to see a lot of mom and pop coffee shops and little candy stores and cool places just to get t-shirts and homemade, just like handcrafted items. It is really cute. People from all over the state, all over the Denver metro area, they will come to downtown Littleton for brunch, just to go spend Saturday afternoon.
Right.
It is definitely a highly desirable area.
I've got a final little thing I'll mention to you guys. I'm sure he's got a final he's going to mention to you. But my final for you is this. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is something to be aware of. So because we are closer to the mountains, hey, and like you've got more snow buildup here. You've got more moisture. Yes, there are 1 or 2 flood zones out here in Littleton. They're not terrible flood zones. Very rarely do you see anything out here flood at all. However, more importantly is the insurance you're going to carry on your home. And if you purchase a home that isn't a flood zone, it's just good to look at those maps and see where exactly you're at in the elevation of a flood zone. Are you more toward the top? Are you more toward the bottom where if anything does flood, it's definitely your house or your block of houses? Things to consider. Very rare does that happen, but if it does, you definitely want the right insurance. And whether it does or not, you're going to be carrying that type of insurance on your home in order for that loan to go through. And that could be anywhere from an extra $112 to $400, depending on where you're at in that flood zone. Obviously, if you guys are working with us, we'll be discovering those things and looking at where your home is and what the one that you're looking for, and just to making sure that we're crossing our T's and dotting our I's on that. But yes, not necessarily negative, but something that you want to be prepared for. And financially, when you qualify for a loan, if you're looking at a $600,000 home, but flood insurance is going to be an extra $400 per month, maybe you don't qualify for that home, right? All of these things matter, so something to consider. Yes, we will look out for you guys and mention these areas, but something to consider.
Now, point number 7, our final point, guys, is that you've heard us talk about our light rail system all across Denver. Maybe not being the best. However, Littleton, there is a stop for the light rail right in downtown Littleton. So super convenient. If you're working downtown, all you got to do is get to downtown Littleton. You can take the light rail all the way to your work downtown. You can take it down to a baseball game, football game, whatever you would like. But having that downtown Littleton stop is very convenient.
100%. Overall, Littleton, great spot, really cool. Definitely, depending on where you guys are looking, if you haven't considered Littleton, definitely consider it. Turn that stone, do some research. Have any questions, let us know. And yes, guys, as much as we love making these videos, we would love more to help you with those real estate needs because we are licensed brokers in Colorado. So that number that's popping back up below, we are the guys who answer the phone calls, text messages, and those emails. So if there's something we can do for you in regards to Littleton or anywhere else, we would love to have that conversation. But until next video or next week, we will see you guys very soon.
That's right. See you guys.